All right. Hello, everyone. I hope you all found a seat. Thanks for taking the time and spending some of your lunchtime with me here. I'm really glad to see you all here. And it's super interesting to hear about what companies are doing to help businesses get into Bitcoin as well. I feel like, in the last couple of years when I attended Bitcoin conferences, it was all about, how can retail investors get into Bitcoin, or also bigger investors, individuals, but it was not a lot about, and then maybe it was also about institutional adoptions, like, the big hedge funds are coming, BlackRock are coming, MicroStrategy are coming, all the big guys. But only recently, I feel like this trend is maybe 2 years old, where also SMEs are coming into Bitcoin, which I found super interesting, and I'll tell you why. I did get a bit of a long title, I'm sorry for that. I know which businesses are buying Bitcoin and why, but basically the main goal I have with this presentation is to share our insights that might be interesting for you guys about how Bitcoin businesses are behaving in terms of Bitcoin, because we have now in the last year onboarded around 100 businesses, and it's like, to me, it was super surprising, like which kind of businesses are buying for which use cases, and it's just you think about a lot of businesses being like super professional, but you'd be surprised what kind of businesses are buying Bitcoin and why, and what kind of communications and conversations we have with them. Our Relai business team, it's actually quite funny, and it's so super exciting to be at the forefront of this whole thing. But let us start with the why. As a business owner, and like, how many business owners are here? Yeah. Oh, wow, half of the room. Why would you want to buy Bitcoin, right? Oh, that's a funny depiction of Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock. But basically, it's a lot about what we see. Of course, there are a million different rational reasons why you want to hold Bitcoin as an individual, but also as a company. But actually, how a lot of entrepreneurs, and I'm an entrepreneur myself, you guys are business owners, how they behave and work is they look up to other entrepreneurs. Like almost everything I learn about entrepreneurship and running a business, and probably you guys are the same who are owning a business, you look up to others. How are they doing things? We all have our idols. We learn from the big examples, the success stories. And one of the big guys, of course, is Larry Fink, one of the wealthiest and most powerful entrepreneurs and CEOs in the world. And since he got in, and I think that's something that really accelerate this trend as well of a lot of businesses and entrepreneurs wanting to get into Bitcoin, is because Larry Fink started to be very vocal and positive about it. And it's like a mass trend that has started here in institutional adoption, but also the business adoption. Then, thank you for that. I didn't expect that. This is Michael Saylor, the founder and CEO of MicroStrategy. Of course, every one of you has known him, but like he really interestingly here says like it's a signal, it's a problem, and then there's the solution, which is Bitcoin. He really narrows it down to what it comes down to. If the world is if money is just ever expanding, and as individuals and businesses want to keep their purchasing power on the long term because they want to stay competitive and they want to be able to outspend and outgrow their competition, well, the most important thing is that you use actual sound money and you keep your purchasing power for the future. Otherwise, you just won't be competitive, right? So this is another big idol that a lot of entrepreneurs have. All a business owner wants is to be competitive and have a strategic advantage in the long run. And actually, one of the easiest ways to get such a strategic competitive advantage is to work with actual money that keeps your purchasing power, or that increases your purchasing power, so you can be competitive or outcompete other companies in the future that don't have this. Like if you compete with companies that have money that is worth less over time, they will struggle, to pay their salaries. They will struggle to pay their bills. They will struggle to invest in marketing, and you will be able to, and in product, and just make all these investments. And you, if you use actual money that increases in purchasing power, you'll be able to do more of that. So your business will grow, your valuation will grow, and you as a business owner will, make more money in the end. You will have a bigger market cap than others. And who has shown this better than Michael Saylor, which was already not a poor guy before, right? He was already a Fiat billionaire, but after adopting the Bitcoin standard, this guy basically made it to one of the top 100 companies in terms of market capitalization and company valuation in the US, and it was mainly because he adopted Bitcoin as a treasury asset. So of course, business owners, small and big, look up to these guys, and they want to do the same thing. That's, I think, a big why businesses are doing it. It's as easy as that. And then, of course, there are the rational reasons, just what we talked about before. If you want to stay competitive, you want to use hard money. You don't want to lose value over time, and fiat is just the poorest choice you can make. In Europe, the euro was introduced like 25 years ago. You know how much value it has lost against the Swiss franc, which is just another fiat currency, but it's a harder one. It's not being inflated that much. It's also being inflated like 1% a year, but not as much. You know how much it did lose? Lost 50% to the Swiss franc. Now the Swiss franc is also losing value. You know how much the euro has lost to a hard asset like gold? It was like 80 to 90%. And you don't even want to know how much it lost against Bitcoin, which is the hardest asset. It's ridiculous. It's basically 99%. So if you choose as your financial operating system a not sound money, you're just losing. You just have to outgrow so much of this inflation. You basically have to grow a real 10% a year just to keep up with inflation, just to keep paying your salaries, just to keep paying your bills, just to keep investing in product and marketing. And so you need to be one of the top 1% companies to even be able to then also be able to spend into other things in your actual business. So imagine if you change the operating system to something that actually, without doing anything, giving you more purchasing power in the future. That's how you can have a competitive advantage in the future. And more and more people and companies are waking up to this fact that they are just basically that they made a poor choice. Now, Bitcoin, of course, is the best investment of a decade as well. So that's why companies also want to invest in Bitcoin. That's also a bit off, but you have seen the slide before at River, so I'm not going to go into detail here. But Bitcoin basically outperforms everything because it is the ultimate form of money. It's the evolution of money that finally now is also taking a hold at companies. And companies have a hard time investing their treasuries in stocks, for example, or bonds, or gold, like real estate. Basically, any asset you can name is quite hard for companies that have a balance sheet of a couple of 100,000 or a couple of millions. They can't just put all of it into gold or all of it into stocks or bonds or real estate. There's regulatory reasons for that. It just makes it super complicated, logistical reasons for that. Guess what? It's very easy to put your money, your balance sheet, your treasury into Bitcoin. It's just another form of money. So it's not harder to put your treasury reserves, cash reserves, into Bitcoin than to putting it into euro or Swiss francs. So it's the easiest way, basically, to use this cheat code of using actual money. There's no big burdens to get into that. And the good news is you can now adopt this, and you still have a huge upside because we're still so super early. It's like you're one of the first companies that have a website, before the .com bubble. The first to adopt, digital automation stuff or AI or whatever. If you're early with the technology as an entrepreneur, you're always better off. If you were one of the first companies that had a social media profile on like Facebook or Instagram, you did very well. You made a lot of business with that. So it's never a bad idea to be early to something new that is definitely coming, and it's so small still. Like there is easily a 10x upside to that. There is no rational reason not to put in 1 to 10% at least of your treasury assets that you don't need for the next 5 years and put into Bitcoin. Like I haven't heard a rational reason not to do this. If you look at that, after 15 years, we have made it so far. It's more than $1 trillion asset in only 15 years. 15 years ago, it was basically zero. And now, if you have money that you don't need for the next 5 or 10 years, you have a choice. Either you basically lose half of the purchasing power if you let it in fiat, or you have a very low risk upside of 10x. What do you want to do? So what really excites me as a business owner that is in the Bitcoin exchange business is that there's just the sheer market potential that is there. And it should not only be interesting for me as a Bitcoin broker CEO, but also just for you as a Bitcoiner. Because everyone is about, the retail investors that are coming and the institutions are coming. Yes, there are billions and trillions from that side coming. But how many SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprise, are there only in Europe? Already 25 million. More than 80% of the people are actually employed by SMEs. It's it's the backbone of the economy. And there's a lot of money on these reserves as well. So there are more than 25 million SME companies. They hold around 100 to 150K on average. Of course, some of them much, much more. So in aggregate, that's around 3 trillion that are now sitting in fiat currency on their balance sheet, devaluating between 1 and 10% depending on the country. And how many Bitcoiners do we have? It's around 8 to 10%. So let's take 10% of them are led by Bitcoiners, like me, like a lot of you guys. You have businesses that are maybe not in the Bitcoin space, but you are Bitcoiners. You're the decision makers of these companies in the end, right? And there will be more and more Bitcoiners in the next 10 years, and they will make choices about how to invest the treasury cash reserves of their companies. And that's what we already are seeing now with these 100 businesses that we've onboarded. In the US, River they just said they have onboarded around 1,000 already. So this is still a very small but very fast growing market. If we think that Bitcoin really reaches this mass adoption in the next 10 years, then also the mass adoption will come in SMEs that will adopt Bitcoin treasury strategies. So the future market is just really, really big in terms of SMEs that will put at least part of their money into Bitcoin. So I think that's next to the retail and the institutional adoption, the third big catalyzer for extreme growth in the next 10 years of Bitcoin. It makes me super fucking bullish. And I think it should make you feel bullish as well. So now finally, let's get to the second big. So why is it important, but also which businesses are actually doing it. And this was for me very surprising, like the industries that are getting into Bitcoin. It's not necessarily like financial companies or tech companies. Mostly it's like craftsman companies, carpenters, electricians, bricklayers, building and construction companies, working with their hands, with like wood, with metal, with like they're actual like just normal people on the street that have opened a business. They have maybe 10 to 15 employees, something like that, and they're working every day. But then they put their money on for the reserve for later, and they get this impression that it's kind of losing value. So they become Bitcoiners. Usually that's the journey. The entrepreneur or the CEO, the business owner, becomes a Bitcoiner because he wants to solve his own problem that he has as a private individual with fiat money, and then he just adapts it with his company. More than 40% of these 100 businesses that we've onboarded are out of this category, which for me was very surprising. Number 2 is services and consulting, so different advisory companies, software and design agencies, bigger and smaller ones that are, they don't necessarily, and none of these businesses have anything remotely to do with Bitcoin. They come from all sorts of industries, but as a private individual, they get into Bitcoin because they get the benefits of it, and then they also start adopting it with their companies. So it's just like, I can't see this trend going back, right? There will be more individual Bitcoiners, and especially entrepreneurs who are always open to new ideas and innovative. There will be more of these Bitcoiners, and they run companies. That's not going away. And of course, then they count 1 + 1 = 2, and they get into Bitcoin with their companies as well. It's just a natural thing that's going to happen. Number 3 is real estate, or even there's also just commodity trading or real estate trading companies that are into real hard assets already, like real estate, and they feel like they should shift some of their balance sheet from cash and from real estate also to Bitcoin. So all sorts of different industries that were surprising to me, and you would probably not have thought about as kind of Bitcoin early adopters, but they are. So I have 3 favorite cases. I talked to Benjamin, who's also here, and he is onboarding all these businesses, and he's talking to several business owners today that are interested in buying Bitcoin. And there are so many reasons why they would buy Bitcoin. So one, we have a gold brokerage company that, they have a value mindset of hard money, sound money, fiat money is bad, Austrian economics, etc. So from a value point of view, they're exactly the same people that we are. They're just gold bugs. They're like the old school Bitcoiners, right? But for the same reasons that we like Bitcoin, they do like gold. And so this is a gold brokerage company, one of the biggest in Europe, actually. And they are buying 100K worth of Bitcoin it's actually every month, sorry. Not every week, but every month. 100K, so around $1 million, a bit more than $1 million a year in Bitcoin, just to shift some of their balance sheet, which is mostly in gold, also into this new digital hard asset, Bitcoin. So I think there are, how many gold broker players are out there which will also adopt this strategy in the next 10 years? Favorite case number 2 is a real estate company. They have, I don't know how many, probably like 40 or 50 buildings, which are projects for them because they buy the building and then they build it out or develop it and then they rent it out. And for every building, they need to have a reserve. It's like, even from a regulatory point of view, you need to have a reserve in case something goes bad, you need to fix something. And then you need to be able to invest in that. So every year you have to top up this reserve. You just have to have the reserve, but maybe you don't use it for the next 5 or 10 years. So it really does not make sense to have this in euro, because once you maybe use it in 10 years, it's like the purchasing power is cut in half. And so many of them, or one of our clients, decided, hey, I just put this reserve per building that I need to have in Bitcoin. So they're now buying around 10 to 50K worth of Bitcoin for every building and have their reserve in the hardest asset. And once they need to use it to make a renovation or fix something that is broken, they have more than enough money and probably still a reserve from that. So even think about the long-term implications of that. I mean, houses in the last 50 to 100 years really degraded in quality. Why? Because the value of money also degraded. Now, if you switch to a money that is actually increasing in purchasing power, we will see buildings and architecture that is also going to be increasing in quality in the next 5 to 10 years. So that's why, Jack Mallers, for example, always says, fix the money, fix the world. That's a concrete example, I think, of that, with larger implications to the whole society and especially to the real estate industry, for sure. Last but not least, we have a dentist. We just have a dentist that, got in touch with Benjamin saying, I have this friend, he orange pilled me. I now get it. I bought Bitcoin for myself, but I actually want to also be able to buy new equipment in the next couple of years, and with my fiat money, that's not going to be really possible. And so why don't I put at least a part of my balance sheet into Bitcoin, so that I have an upside, and it gives me hope for the future, and will be able to make more investments into my dentist company in the future. So this guy bought 200K worth of Bitcoin and put it on the balance sheet, holds it himself with a multi-sig setup together with his partner in a self-custodial way, and it kind of empowers him and gives him control of his financial future. Small dentist with like 3 or 4 people in the company, but it actually makes sense to strengthen his balance sheet. Even at this, it doesn't have to be big companies. It's for all companies. Every company wants to strengthen its balance sheet and make it future-proof and take control of the financial future of the company. That's how we do it. This is kind of a pre-announcement. It will come out end of this year, is that people can, or companies can basically very easily in a self-service way onboard to our web platform and buy Bitcoin there directly into their self-custody, and they get almost 24/7 advice from our team on how they can set up multi-sig, for example, how they can really buy and own and track their own Bitcoin. They get tax advice, accounting advice, whatever advice they need, whatever questions they have. They can do relatively small amounts, but also, of course, bigger amounts. And if you want to do that, I showed you before there are 25 million SMEs in Europe. If you wanted to do this before we started this business, you couldn't really. If you wanted to invest 100K, you cannot onboard with a retail exchange, but you can also not onboard at an institutional exchange, because there it would take you like 6 to 8 weeks. It would take even months until you get onboarded. And because we're focusing on being Bitcoin only, self-custodial, and only on owner-led SMEs, we can do it in 24 to 48 hours. So if you decide on Monday you want to buy Bitcoin, you have your Bitcoin on your balance sheet on Wednesday with very low manual involvement. It's all automated. It's great. So you should check it out end of this year. And this is Benjamin. He looks a bit different in real life than to that picture, but maybe the QR code works, maybe not. But he's there. He wears a Relai Bitcoin hat. So if you want to talk to him, he has actually all the 100+ stories, because he onboarded all these businesses in the last 12 months. So go talk to him. Go talk to us. I'm very happy to give you the behind-the-scenes insights on why and how businesses are buying Bitcoin. And we're looking forward to, in the next 10 years, onboard millions of SMEs and companies onto Bitcoin. So thank you for listening. Thank you for helping. And thank you for being part of this movement. I think we have another maybe 5 minutes for questions. I love to interact, so yeah. Ooh, finally we have dark mode here, right? It's not in the app yet, but at least it's here on the slide. Yeah. Oh, I love this question. I should have actually included this in the slide. So the question was, any companies that actually didn't want to do self-custody, but they wanted us to custody, like River before, for example, they offer a custodial service, and they have a lot of clients that probably want that. We really market ourselves as Bitcoin-only, self-custodial, Swiss-made. That's the three things that we kind of hit home all the time for retail clients, but also for business clients. So somehow we seem to attract only people and companies that really want a real Bitcoin in the self-custodial way. And so we only had very, very few companies that were like, yeah, no, I actually want to give you the custody. And we actually don't offer it. We could offer it for like big accounts. We'd probably do it, but actually we didn't see the need too much. It's like if we ask retail customers, but also business customers, what are the three reasons you come to see us? It's because you're Bitcoin only and it's self-custodial and it's simple. That's what they want. They want a fast onboarding. They want a great support. They want to have a simple. They don't want to think about it too much. They want to have the complexity taken away from them, but they value that we're Bitcoin only and that they're self-custodial. And if you think about it, it does make sense, because in a pre-Bitcoin world, as a company, you were not able to actually hold money yourself, like at all, unless you had Bitcoin in your treasury. But then that's a very, that's a complicated thing to do. Now with Bitcoin, you actually have the chance. So why don't you take 5 or 10% of your cash reserve and put it in a self-custodial way for if something happens, if bank limitation or bank failure, or you get into trouble with the regulators or whatever, and they freeze your account, you at least have some real money you can control yourself and no one can take away from you. That's freedom, and also businesses need freedom.
The UK?
Europe, UK?
Does Europe include the UK?
No, in our example, unfortunately not. So there's in kind of the continental Europe, yes, but there are 3 jurisdictions kind of in Europe. So it's Switzerland, which is outside of the EU, and UK, which is also outside of the EU, and there's the EU. So of course there are like more than 400 million people in the EU, only like 8 to 9 million people in Switzerland, and around 60 million in the UK. But different jurisdictions. To be honest, the UK makes it very, very hard from a regulatory point of view as a Bitcoin company to even be active or to be able to market there. So we currently have decided to stay away from the UK, and we focus on our home market, which is Switzerland, and now from next year on with the MiCA license on all the EU countries. UK, hopefully in the future. Do we have time for one last question? Thank you.
I was just wondering, in your own words, what are the main benefits of for a business to use your service compared to, let's say, an OTC service of Kraken or Coinbase or any other exchange? Is there any additional points besides the onboarding time that you mentioned, or is that really the main, the key selling point?
So again, back to the 3 things. Bitcoin only. If you value to have it Bitcoin only and you don't want to support a shitcoin casino, then that's definitely one. 2 is self-custodial. Again, you said, I think, Kraken or Coinbase?
Kraken, Coinbase, for example.
They don't allow you to really self-custody your coins, or at least then you need to withdraw from a custodial exchange, and big amounts can be hard. You need to go through different hoops and documents and etc. And then they don't really help you if you're a kind of a beginner. They don't help you to set all these things up. They want you to have your money with them. We want you to own your money yourself. So we help you for free. To buy Bitcoin directly into your self-custody. We help you to set up multisig if you want that, and we kind of advise you on this whole process, which they definitely don't do. And then the onboarding time is just 10x faster. If you want to onboard, if you want to buy 100K, 150K as a business, you want to onboard to Kraken, I think, I don't know one example, maybe Benjamin does, that actually has made it, because it's such a huge process you need to go through. It takes a long time, a lot of effort, a lot of cost. Whereas with us, it's basically one call and a couple of documents to upload. It's like 48 hours you are onboarded. So it's massively faster, easier. It's not more expensive. It's maybe also not much cheaper. It's like the same. And then you have control of your own Bitcoin. And these are the main reasons why they come to us and not to Kraken. Actually, we find that a lot of companies try to onboard with Kraken, but they then come to us because they say it's like too complicated if you only, quote unquote, want to buy and hold Bitcoin.
Very personalized.
It's also a personalized service. There is 24/7 availability of one of our Bitcoin experts. They have experience for years, and like they are there. You can write them a Signal, WhatsApp, Telegram, email, call them. They're here for you, which you don't get with all the big corporates. We're a boutique. That's one of another advantage of being Bitcoin only. We're focused only on that. We don't lose time with any of the noise. We focus on the signal. That's why we can offer this personalized service for this one thing. We want to just enable you to buy and hold Bitcoin. That's it.
Thank you.
All right, guys. This was all the time I had. Thank you very much.
Is your company ready for the next evolution in financial strategy? Bitcoin for Corporations is your partner in securing the future of your business. With exclusive membership benefits, our comprehensive masterclass, and a network of trusted service providers, we provide the insights and resources to help you incorporate Bitcoin into your financial strategy, ensuring stability and long-term value. Strengthen your business. Innovate with confidence. Bitcoin for Corporations, protecting your treasury and positioning you for the future.